Dennis, you're welcome. John, I'm glad to see you. And I want to specially welcome you to our special webinar series. I know this is a little bit different from our usual Leaders Coven retreat, where we'll just practically talk. I mean, we are talking here too, but we have a little bit of presentation. I mean, the focus of today is to expose an important topic in the way we work, in the way we live, which is around feedback and culture. And definitely, I'm very excited. I'm very excited of what's to come. I'm very excited of what we'll be doing today. Myself and Irina have been in conversation for a couple of months now. And, we've interacted, we've gotten to see the world from each other's point of view. One of these days, one of the discussions we had is that in Africa, especially, and in our workplaces, one biggest challenge we face is that those that are just starting their career or those that are just growing up find it very hard to be part of the development in Africa. And the singular reason for that challenge is because of our culture of feedback. Myself growing up, whenever the elders or say people that are grown up are having meetings, it is a taboo for a young boy to just put his mouth and try to contribute, which is unusual because who knows if the young boy has a wonderful idea that will be beneficial. But being young is termed being inexperienced and being invaluable, like not valuable as it were, which is something we need to actually fix, because to drive ourselves towards a future where we innovate as a people, where we constantly develop and develop at scale, we must ensure that everybody is part of the process. To design a system that reflects our true identity, everybody has to be part of the development. Everybody has to understand that their ideas are ahead. And to do that, we must have a culture that encourages everybody to speak. And beyond just being a society, even at our workplaces, it's one thing to have a good idea, but you as a person realize that it may not be welcome depending on the kind of person you work with. So I realized that some people are not receptive to feedback. Some people don't want you to give a feedback that directly contradicts their point of view because they are your boss, which is something that's actually not okay as well, because for innovation to thrive, everybody has to be able to share their opinion. Because innovation is popular. Innovation is not something new entirely. Sometimes it's a different way of doing things. And what if the person that understands the different way of doing things is the new intern on the team? So today will be an exciting conversation. We'll have a long time to talk, to share our individual perspective on this. And we'll also have Irina lead us through our systematic framework of instituting a culture like this at our various spheres of influence. Let me particularly welcome you once again to this special Leaders Coven training. Let me call it training / series. And let me just cite a few expectations that I know that each and every one of us will go out with today. Number one is to understand what are we really talking about as a culture of open feedback, and why is it important for a leader to embrace this kind of mindset? Because at the end of the day, the person that can institute this thing we are talking about is the leader himself. So you as a person understanding this and replicating it in whatever thing you do will make our world a better place. That's number one. Number two is that we also have a proven model. We have a Q&A and a discussion session where we have a proven model and practical steps to implementing these at our work. So it's one thing to understand the framework. It's another thing to be an ambassador. It's another thing to know how to implement it, given your own special environment. I'm very excited. I'm very, very excited. Let me just introduce Irina to us. Irina is a system. I'll define her the way I want to define her. So when she comes aboard, she'll define herself the way she wants to define herself. So I'll introduce Irina as a system thinking consultant. She has helped organizations design structures that perform under pressure. Like, how do you build systems that allow institutions to work and to work at scale without crashing down? Health system, business system, organizational system. Let me just summarize it, generalize it. And build system that can adapt to change and hold together when things fall apart. So the idea is that Irina has experience in building this kind of system, and she can enlighten us on how we can do this. Without further ado, I want to give the floor to Irina Morozova to open the floor for us, introduce herself, and just dive right into the conversation for today. Irina, thank you very much. Happy to have you. You can go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, guys. I'm really excited to meet you all. I hope we will have time to speak. I'm here not to teach you. I just will present you very shortly some concepts which I know which work, and then I hope we will discuss, because I hope to learn from you a lot. I hope I will give you something new. But let's start. I will try to be very short, because I hope we will leave a lot of time for discussion, right? And don't worry, don't focus on the making print screen or something like this. We will share the presentation with you. The meeting is recorded, right?
Yes.
So you will have the records, the presentation, no worry about this. And if you want to stop me during my speech, don't worry, stop me, because this is something which we speak about today, the culture of freedom of speech. So let's start right from now. If you want to stop me to ask a question, and if you don't agree with me, you are very welcome. We are here to discuss, not to present something. I'm not a professor or something. I am professor, but not here. Okay, let's try to share the presentation. Wait a moment. Do we have? This will be PDF, because for some reason PowerPoint didn't work, but I think it's fine. So first of all, just shortly repeat the objectives of the meeting, which Bolvatif already said. So we will try to understand the principles of safety and open feedback, and we will try to learn a practical framework for building a culture of open feedback and innovation. And once again, this is a very short presentation just to present you the main principles. And I will start from two stories. You read them shortly, but I will try to explain a bit more. So one story, one tragedy happened in 1978 in the USA. It was absolutely normal scheduled flight, very experienced team. And when the plane was ready to land, the landing gear warning started to signal, and captain understood that he couldn't land the plane because it's impossible. He needed to understand what's going on. So he started to solve this problem. And it took some time. Plane was in the flight, and the flight engineer understood that the plane started to lose fuel a lot, and there is not a lot to have. And he trying to warn the captain, but captain misunderstood the time. He was focused on the gear problem. And the captain is an unquestionable authority, so the flight engineer couldn't do anything. So after about 30-40 minutes, no fuel and no time to land the plane. So all 4 engines stopped out from fuel starvation, plane crashed, and as a result, 10 people were killed. And the second story also happened in the US, not because the US is so terrible country, but just because US documented this quite well. 30 years, after 30 years, patient Elaine Bromley, young woman, 2 children, husband, very simple sinus surgery, which was performed by a very experienced team. But during the anesthesia, unexpected problem appeared, because during anesthesia the patient cannot breathe by himself, so they need to intubate the patient to put the tube inside the throat. But for some problem happens, the muscles spasm, they couldn't put the tube into the patient, so the patient couldn't breathe. And there is a procedure to do this. It calls trachectomy. You cut the throat in this case, and you put the tube directly to the throat inside. And the nurse noticed this. She understood what should happen. She prepared the kit, and she said doctors that she was ready. But doctors tried to intubate the patients. They misunderstood the time. They were sure that they had a lot of time for this, and the doctors are an unquestionable authority. So after 20 minutes, nothing happened. Patient couldn't breathe. So it's called hypoxia. The brain didn't have any oxygen. It was coma, and the patient was dead after several days after this. So what actually happened? Because it's not the skill problems, because it was a very experienced team. It was an unusual situation, and as a result, the human error in this situation. And what, again, someone in the room saw the danger, and someone in the room tried to warn the people, but nobody senior heard it in time, because, and they were authority, and people who were under them, they could not interrupt. That was happened. And now I suggest you to think, what is the cost of an error in your industry? Because it can be finances, it can be lives, it can be reputation, it can be money, depends. So I told you two stories, but actually the situation is not unique to aviation or medicine. So if you work in a complex system, what do I mean in complex system? Many people and processes which interact with each other. And many of them, I'm sure, work with high technologies, and high technologies moving much faster when we can adapt to them. Outcomes strongly depend on human factors in many, many different industries. And the cost of human error is also very high. I'm sure you know about this. And if you have the strict hierarchy, if you recognize at least some of these conditions, so this presentation is probably for you. Okay, what happens next? Aviation learned the lessons, because this particular plane crash, which I described, that was a key cornerstone in the aviation history. They reconsidered all the protocols, and they developed a new culture. The culture is about what? The leaders should involve the team in important decisions, and they encourage people to speak up. Every problem is investigated independently to understand its causes, not assign blame. Every incident is reported, openly reported, analyzed, and shared, so everyone can learn from this incident. People are protected, and they report honest mistake. So this can help you to detect early risks. And every failure or every mistake is treated as valuable information that helps improve the system. And this working condition has a name. It's called safety culture. What is actually safety culture? Safety culture is an atmosphere where people at any level act as if no one is really checking their commitment to safety. So they just breathe, work, and behave normally. It's a work environment that supports open communication and collaboration, regardless of the status. Your boss, your employee, doesn't matter. It's encourage open discussion of mistakes to learn from mistakes. And it's an interest from all employees, and first of all, for leadership, for management in solving problems. And it means no scapegoats. Here are the 3 pillars of safety culture, the main important structural things. It's just culture. So people aren't blamed for system failures beyond their control. But that's not a license for negligence. If you came to work drunk, for example, this is not an excuse. It's not a just culture, right? It's a reporting culture. So people feel safe reporting mistakes and unsafe situations, including their own, without fear of blame. And it's a learning culture. So you learn from your mistake. You discuss your mistake, you report your mistake, and you learn from this mistake. This is very important. Learning is very important here. So what do we gain from safety culture? And what is the cost? For employee, it feels a bit more freedom. It's easier work because you have shared responsibility. And the work is more comfortable because it's more open and you have a flat structure instead of very high hierarchical structure. And the work is more interesting because you exchange your experience every time with your colleagues. For the organization, it means growth. It's a team of motivated people, not just stressed boss and passive employees. It's a reputation because usually if you recognize the mistake earlier, you do not need to go to the court, you do not need to quarrel with your clients. It works a bit different. And this resilience. So actually, I'm sure you know, you cannot write rules for every unusual situation. And in a crisis, you need proactive people who can solve the problems which are unusual. And the people will be proactive if you will give them the freedom to be proactive, if you give them the freedom to speak. For leadership, it's a bit more complicated because this means changing the mindset. So you have to abandon the usual pattern of behavior. I'm boss and you are a stupid person, right? You have to refuse to be bossy. And this, of course, it's discomfort and vulnerability to criticism. This is very important. Okay, this is nice. It's theory, it's beautiful, sounds like a paradise. How does it work and how we make this work? We have to provide the opportunity for this to work. We have to be a good leader for this. And we have to make some action that inspire a true safety culture. We have to act and to implement a strong safety culture. And third, we have to perform training. We need to learn and we need to teach our employees how to do this. So first of all, who is the leader, right? Here, as far as I understand, are all the leaders, formal leaders or informal leaders, but you are here, all the leaders. So we will speak about you now. So leader, it's not necessarily formal positions. So both formal and informal leaders, in theory, in optimistic theory, should inspire people and serve as a role model. And also formal leaders, they have some obligations, right? They have to formulate the vision and plans, and they have to set the tone and culture of the organization. This is your role as a leader. And now we have leaders and we have bosses. And I'm sure you are all saw probably two of these types, right? Who is the boss? Boss, it's a person who always says I, not we as a leader. Takes credit, but leader gives credit. Boss like micromanagement. Leader prefer to delegate. Boss criticize. Leader encourage. Boss focuses on your weaknesses. Leader focus on your strengths. Boss likes to blame others. Leader is ready to take responsibility. Boss directs. Leader coaches. Boss speaks more, listen less. Leader listen more, speak less. Boss usually inspires fear. Leader inspires enthusiasm. And boss gives commands, leader asks. But you understand that these are two extremes, right? And there are many, many different gradations between these two. We are all human. We are not ideal or not very bad, right? But ask yourself just 3 questions. Do others seek my advice? Do others bring their ideas to me? And do others admit their mistakes to me? If you answer yes, yes, you are leaders. If no, then something to think about this. Imperatives for safety culture for leaders. First of all, learn and grow through your network. That's what you are doing right now. You create a network and we are now exchange the experience, right? Don't copy blindly. So just don't take someone document and copy paste it. Tailor to your own situation because every situation is different. Listen to your team. This is very important. And listen to their feedback and act on this feedback. Job title gives you responsibility, but not authority. And first give and then demand. Okay, now how to implement safety culture. We have 4 steps. Modeling desirable behavior, motivating desirable behavior, developing an incident reporting system, and identifying root causes. First of all, behavior. And yeah, it's very strange. We are all adult people and we speak about behavior. But again, you have your own organizations or you work in organizations. And it's strange, but we all understand behavior, or it's something which is very important. How people behave at work or at home, in family, this is super important. So first of all, you have to model desirable behavior. So define what good and what unacceptable behavior in your organization. When do that all the leaders in your organization align on these definitions. When formalize them, create kind of standards, code of ethics, code of conduct. So create and transform them into the organization rules. And then communicate the rules to every employee, very important, without any exception. Then you can motivate desirable behavior. So be the example. If you say we are in non-smoking organizations, but you as a leader smoke, it doesn't work. If you say we have a safety culture, we have a psychologically safe environment in our organization, and you shout on your employee, it doesn't work. And publicly acknowledge the employee who demonstrate desired behaviors. Even if it's a very small step, but you have to do this. And very important, all the time, ask opinion from your team because they can see something that you can't see. Then developing an incident management system. Probably this is a bit new for you, so I will shortly present. So what is incident? Incident is an unplanned event that causes harm or can cause harm. Any bad things or preventable bad things. Incident management system is a process for reporting, investigating, learning from this incident, and preventing the future incident. So you have, if now here's a pause, because if you are interested how to develop incident management system, we are ready to organize a masterclass for this, right? We are ready to do something like this. We are happy to share. And create a blame-free environment where employees can discuss mistakes openly, because fear of punishment is the main blocker to honest reporting. If nothing is reported in your organization, it doesn't mean that everything is fine. It means that people are afraid to speak. Think about this. And again, seek and value feedback from your team. Always listen to your team. Identifying root causes. So what is root cause? Root cause is the original cause, and root cause analysis, it's a process for finding why an incident happened, not just what happened. And it was shown, and it's very important, that only 15% of errors occur due to a human factor, 85% due to poor process management or badly organized system. So when you try to find why this incident happened, try not to look for the person to blame. Look for the real cause of the incident. Address the root cause, and this will help you to prevent future repetition. And this is very important. Involve all process participants in the decision. So the people who spoke about the incident, the people who participated in the incident, and of course the people who are independent, who can look on this incident without force. They can understand what can happen from outside, not from inside. And again, ask the feedback from your team. This is very important. That's why I repeat it very often. Training. I already told this. Teach by example, by good example. But you need to understand that you teach by any example. If you provide something bad, people will follow you. Encourage employees to learn, because this is very important. If you don't learn, you don't adapt. And exchange knowledge with other organizations. Exchange knowledge with yourself. You have a wonderful platform for this now. And again, seek and value feedback from your team. This is super important. We are close to finish. I promised you a very short presentation. I just want to repeat the most important thing to build the strong safety culture. So first of all, your organization is a complex system. It consists of people, processes, and it's not a machine, because people are people. They are human. They react differently, not like a gear or part of machine. And the interaction are very important. And you try to understand that complex system cannot work perfectly. Your organization cannot work perfectly. Never. Doesn't happen. And single person, no you, not even employee, single person cannot ensure the system function properly. You need a lot of people and interaction among the people. And the job of the leader is to keep the system running smoothly, but knowing that no single person can work perfectly all the time. This is very important. So this is all from my part in this time. And we have 3 questions. First of all, how would you describe your organization's feedback culture? Is it psychological safe, or maybe there is something to discuss? How do social norms shape psychological safety? We already started to discuss, and I hope it to continue. And what other practical steps can help build a culture of psychological safety and open feedback? These are 3 questions for you, but probably I now stop sharing my presentation. I'm coming back to you. And maybe, first of all, you have questions to me. I'm happy to answer. If not, I will start to answer, but not as a teacher, because I'm very interested.
Yeah, thank you very much, Irina. What an insightful presentation that was. Thank you very much. I know we are at the Q&A session because of our time, and I want to welcome everyone that has a question. I know a lot of people came late, and they may not have been able to catch all the breadth of what we shared today. But principally, what we talked about was feedback of open culture, safety culture, and what framework we can implement. One thing Irina also mentioned was incident management and how we can build a system that allows us to capture incidents that happen and draw important lessons from that. Let's say, for example, a terrible mistake happened at work, rather than just freaking out and creating a rule that doesn't allow anybody to innovate again. I mean, it's just useful to first understand why it happened in the first place, what we can learn, and how, as a team, we don't have to repeat that. So that helps people understand that mistakes are human, but it's not productive to keep repeating mistakes. I mean, that's the whole essence of creating a safety culture, allowing people to still be who they are, be the fullest of their potential, and at the same time, see cutting the excesses that has to do with errors and human mistakes. Thank you very much, Irina, once again. I want to ask if anyone has a question, you can just raise up your hand so I can call on you to answer. But while I wait for response, I know we had a discussion prompt. Irina has stopped presenting, but I can still remember the questions. The first one is around what the culture is like in your own organization. I don't know if anybody's willing to speak to this, but I'll just go ahead. I mean, for me, I've observed a lot of things working with people and working with different organizations. And the one thing I've observed, especially here in Nigeria and Africa at large, is that a lot of people say boss now because leader is a more technical term. Because someone is a boss doesn't make them a leader. Let me say boss because that's easy for everyone to understand. Say boss now. Most bosses in Nigeria are very, let me say, personal about that title. They actually embody the idea of a boss, which means that they love to feel powerful. And if at a point in time you are making them have a feeling that you are somebody, they will show you that, come on, power pass power in that sense. So what I'm just trying to say is that I've seen a lot of leaders or boss in quotes demonstrate to, rather than lead by example and help people grow, they actually kill initiatives. You make a mistake at the office and then you serve punishment, and then you have to pay fine. You have to do this, you have to do that, because it's just that they don't want you to grow. They don't want you to learn through the process. So at the end of the day, you don't want to do anything. You just want to, even if your boss is making a mistake, you just leave him or leave her because they've killed the initiative in you. They've killed that potential to want to rise up and do something. And that's one thing. The other thing that you talked about is there's no way we can build a culture of safety if we don't model it as a leader or as leaders. And let's say, for example, a leader is preaching, let everybody share their view, want to know what you think, but you actually shout at people, which is something very common. Like a lot of people, when they are emotional, they want to pour it on you. Like they transfer that aggression. They transfer that aggression on those who are working with. In fact, it may not even be the cause of their problem. Let's say, for example, you are working with a boss that from home somebody made him angry, maybe his wife or one of his children, and he gets to work and is angry at you. Like, what have you done, for crying out loud? For him to be angry, and that happens a lot. And then every little thing your boss shouts, like, rather than communicating candidly and with a lot of clarity, people just take their emotions on them and boss it on every other person. I know that's not very fair for us to be a culture of safety. I want to ask, so, and should I call on people now? Or I want you to contribute to this conversation. What was it like in your own environment? What was the culture of safety like? Who wants to go first? Who wants to speak? Your ideas are absolutely welcome.
The environment is safe. I don't tell anyone, I promise. What I hear here. Yep.
Yeah, tremendous. Thank you, sir. You can go ahead, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Bolu. Good evening, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. I grabbed, even though I entered, you're already into the presentation already. Yeah, so, well, For now, I'm not like working under a boss like that, but I remember one of my jobs that I did. Uh, the first time I met the boss just saw me like, "Hey, come and work for me." I was like, "Okay," because it's like a family friend. "No, come and work for me." And I was kind of excited. Oh, I'm going to work for him. It's an oil and gas firm, a servicing firm. So I know I'm going to make money. I'm going to enjoy working for him. So the first thing, just getting to the for interview, supposed to be a formal interview, but it became an informal interview. So we were just gisting. I was asking me some questions outside everything. So I just thought, okay, let's just gist and all that. So at the end of the interview, I got the job. But that was my terrible job. That was a terrible job I've ever done in my life. Right. And that's one of the jobs that made me say, I'm not going to work under anybody for now. Because it's going to just wake up in the morning and ask me questions outside something that is not related to the job. And when I say, I don't know, sir, or let me find out, you just start talking. What have you been doing in the office? You have internet. You're supposed to be reading everything. You're supposed to be knowing everything. But it's not part of the job, right? You can just ask me a question on sports. I'm like, I'm not a sport fan. So why don't you know about sports? So it became so much. That was in 2020. It became so much that I hated the job. I didn't want to see him. I just want to stay at home. It was just a bad culture. And he's not a leader. He's just a boss because the moment he's coming to the office, everybody's adjusting. Everybody's just, hey, he's here, he's here, he's here. So at the point when during COVID-19, where I was locked down, I have to work from home. It's still not, okay, I'm happy I'm not seeing his face, but he's going to call me. Sometime he'll call me at 2 a.m. And I dare not tell him that I'm sleeping. Because what are you been doing? You are working from home, so you are working 24 hours. After like 4 months of working there, I just wrote my resignation letter and told him that, I'm not working again. And the man was shocked, because, this kind of job, I believe that you can't do well outside me. So you have to stick with me. No matter what I'm doing to you, you have to stick with me. So I just told him that I'm not working again, tender my resignation letter and left, submit all the office file with me and left. So they are terrible work culture, especially just like you said, in Nigeria, in Africa, we have terrible work culture. So far, I think from all my experience with the jobs I've done in the corporate world, I don't think I've gotten a job, a boss or a leader that I like or that likes me. So it's just out of it for me. So let me just stop here. So thank you for bringing that up. And I hope that in the nearest future, you have the opportunity to talk with a lot of people, a lot of bosses, a lot of CEOs, a lot of leaders, so that they will embrace this kind of leadership, not just being bossy around everywhere. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Mendos. If I can say just a small comment, I assure you it's not a problem of Africa. I worked in Russia, in Caucasus, in Asia, in US, in Europe. It's the problem everywhere. Just short comments, sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that, Mendos. Happy to learn from your experience. Like Irina rightly said, that it's not just a problem of Nigeria or Africa. I believe it's even beyond the problem of organizations. It's problems of individuals, and the fact that we don't hold many of our leaders to accountability. So people get away with a lot of bad things that doesn't reflect what we actually signed up for. You signed up to work, but at work, they are treating you in the way you don't like. But a lot of people just have to endure because they have to make ends meet. And that's very tough because we don't have the systems in place to hold bosses in court to account. I don't know if anybody else who wants to share. Please, the floor is open for discussion. This for you to share your own experience with us. What has it been like working with people? What has it been like being able to share your opinion freely at work or even in the places where you engage with others? What was the culture like? How safe it is it? And can you say you are very comfortable currently or in the past? Yeah, you can go ahead, Samuel.
All right. Good evening, sir, and good evening, ma. Thank you for putting up this conversation. So, my experience with working with bosses, I would say that currently I work under a boss, and pending my time till I serve my nation. So, and my experience has been a very phenomenal. It started when, at a time when I first got to the job, I met the owner who is my employer. I didn't see him as at the time I was applying for the job, so I didn't know him. I didn't know her in person. And then on that day, I was supposed to resume work. I resumed to the place of work that day, and then I saw her. At the time, I didn't know it was the owner, and I was just introducing myself, and I said, "This is my name," and all the rest. And she told me her name, and she said she's also a worker in this organization. So, and that was very funny for me, because I mean, everybody, any other person would have say try to tell you that maybe they are the boss or something, give you a body language that you know you don't like, and all of the rest, just to show you that they own this place, something like that. But my experience was quite amazing, because I didn't know she was the owner. And then the dexterity of humility that she portrayed actually drew me closer to her. It was maybe a week or 2 weeks later that I later got to know that she owns the establishment. I mean, I was so surprised. And fast forward to my birthday, she made it so easy to approach her. I'm trying to say that, in as much as there are bosses that may not have done well in some way or the other, but I've actually in my little life encountered people who are truly leaders, people who create safe environment for people around them to grow and to actually be the best version of themselves. And then I consulted her and said that, what advice would you give, would she give to someone like me? Of course, for me to have approached her that way, it means that she has provided an environment for me to actually approach her in that sense. And that day I just went to her office, I mean, laughing. And what further reinforces the conversation was that the day before my birthday was also her birthday. So that actually initiated a conversation. And she gave me a gift and all the rest. She was so welcoming. And then I asked her, "Ma, for someone like me, what advice will you give?" And then she started telling me some of her stories, things that I even pass on out to her. I was like, wow. So there are people like this. I even let her know, I made her to know that day that, "Ma, like seriously, this is not what I was expecting." Because the image of the leader of a boss that I have in my head is someone who is with coercion, someone who is harsh, someone who is very who insults people, that when you are coming, every other people run away and all the rest. But then in my little experience, I believe that there are still leaders out there who still want people to grow, and even beyond their establishment, and want and really mean well for people. So that's just my little experience I can share.
Wow, thank you very much for that, Samuel. That was been a blessing to hear that. In the midst of the chaos, in the midst of the dysfunctionality, we still have people that are standing for the truth, standing for the right thing. And I mean, the world will be a terrible place if all leaders are just bossy and they don't help others grow. I mean, I also want to spotlight one of the things Irina said. If anyone wants to speak, just raise your hand so I can call you. One of the things she said was that when she was describing the difference between a boss and a leader is a question to ask, which is, do people come to you for advice? I mean, you also mentioned that the truth is that if we have a leader in a system and nobody actually like feels safe around you to ask you questions, I mean, beyond the work, I mean, just questions about their life, about their future, about what they consider as their hope, even in the organization. It means that you don't have a safety environment around you. You have created such a wall around you that people don't feel safe to share what they think. And that can be very detrimental. That can be very detrimental. I've seen a lot of leaders don't try to seek to understand those who they lead. So you are leading a set of people, but all you just want to give is directive. You are like a chief in command of the Nigerian Armed Forces or the military. Exactly. Just want to give directives. You do this, you do that. Report to me by Thursday. I mean, a point like you don't create an avenue to just share your vision with them and ask for their opinion. How do you think we can achieve? Even if you have an idea in mind or what to do, just allowing them share their thoughts gives them buy-in into the organization, gives them an ability to want to support whatever everybody agrees with, because they've been hard, which is hard for a lot of leaders. A lot of leaders just want to share their point of view and get everybody on it. No talking, just do what I want. Right? And which is not good enough for building strong and cohesive team. Okay. Madam Olude wants to speak, then Timmy will go out right after her. Can go ahead, man.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Boluwatife, for putting this together. I know I got in a bit late, but great to be here. I have been, well, will I call myself a boss? I have been working for over 2 decades, so I guess I have some experience in terms of leading people in different spheres, both in the private and the public setting. And especially when you're working with people, you know, people are one of the most difficult to manage. So you need to know where to draw the line. It's important to be able to give the right feedback and being able to coin it in such a way that you do not demean whoever it is that you're speaking with. Because the truth about it is each person has their level of strength. There are moments where the kind of feedback that you give may completely demoralize the person that you're working with. So if you coin it in a way that at least you're able to point out where probably there are gaps, or the key thing first is, as they say, you praise publicly, you reprimand privately, but you still, depending on your setting, if you're in the private setting where you all work as a team and you need to give the feedback, it's just the way that you coin it, which is very important. I will give a few examples of some things that have happened, people that I have worked with. Some years back, I worked with a young pharmacist who, the way he carried on with his work, we had a senior colleague who most of the time used to talk him down. And different things happened to him, which almost really got him to the point where he felt less of himself. But I decided to take it up on myself that I was going to help him through, got him an extra job, which helped him. Over the years, this is one thing that he has held on to. And when I needed help myself, this is like 10, 15 years after that, this same young man was the one that came through for me. So, you know, sometimes we need to see beyond our nose and see beyond the workspace, because we are social beings and there are relationships that you still build outside that can help you. But you also see that some people still don't get it, and sometimes you need to be very firm. It's just that you try not to use words that will completely demoralize them. But if you need to give that firm feedback, it's important that you state it tactfully, just ensuring that you are saying the facts, but not attacking the person's personality, so that you can distinguish between the job and the person's traits or character in that sense. Even though some people can be very troublesome, but you know, I've worked with all sorts of people. Of recent, where I left, I have had people call me because I had someone take over a particular section, and it got so bad that people were resigning because of the way she was reacting. You can imagine you're giving feedback and you are the way you're going about it, you practically want to destroy the person. And somebody goes that my mental health is at the point of being is about to break down, so I can't do this work anymore. And having a government job that you decide you're going to resign, which is usually like a safety net, shows the level of the toxicity. So one thing as leaders that I believe is, one, avoid toxicity as much as possible. be very objective when you are giving your feedback. Ensure you separate the issue from the person. And if you need to speak to the person, you can do that. Like I said, reprimand privately, you praise publicly. There are ways you manage it, because really, balancing things is very important. As a leader, you don't work alone. You can't really work alone in any form. But remember, it's about the influence. So also look within, and at the same time, the people you work with. But when you need to draw the line, you need to draw the line. Sometimes you just have no choice. You just have to draw the line, because you won't want anyone to completely spoil the work that you have, or someone who still just doesn't get it at all. So when you need to stamp your feet down, you have no choice in the matter, but still you do it in a very tactical manner, or at least something that you know that if anyone goes over what you've done, they can't really point fingers that you've done wrong, because you've given enough room for the person to try and change. And if he doesn't, then it's a bye-bye. But yeah, I think that's what I have to say, just to add to this, because I really wanted to be part of this session, even though I came in late, but it's fine. Well done. All right, over to you, Boluwatife. And thank you.
Thank you very much.
Rihanna. It was nice listening to you, at least the
Thank
last
you.
part. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much, man. I mean, that's learning a lot from 20 years of experience. That's deep wisdom. Thank you very much. I mean, I've written down a lot: praise publicly and reprimand privately. They need to also separate the issue from the person, so that people don't get attacked while you provide feedback. And also to be fair when we need to, after giving several notices of warning to certain individuals. Thank you very, very much. Tell you wanted to say something, you can just go ahead.
Okay, good evening, sir. Good evening. Good evening, ma. I'll be talking about my experience. Yeah, first off. So, I can remember far as my IT days when I was doing my internship. I met this particular leader. It was my supervisor, my IT supervisor, but it was the one heading the unit. So, at the time I met him, there was, he's a young man, yeah, not aged like maybe early 30s. So I can trace how he was manning that position. You know, it was so much growth inclined in everyone, even though the people, it was like the youngest worker among all of them. All of them were elderly, and I saw the manner at which, they were always looking at me like, who is this young boy? Who is this young boy here talking, ordering me? Yeah, but he didn't mind. He saw it, but he didn't mind. And I remember a scenario where there was one worker that I think his mom died, so he took permission from my supervisor, the young man, and told him that I want to go, that I need leave to go and like go and bury my mom and all of that. And he left. So when he left, the following week, when the other workers didn't see him, they were like, where is this man that usually work for us? Then the supervisor stepped in and he explained the situation to all of them. They are elderly men. So he was like, okay, because he'll be coming next week, so can we contribute money, like just to give him that a contribution from the unit? And I remember how all of them began to speak like grudges. Each individual worker was like, no, I'm not doing that. I remember when my home mom died, who came from my area, like everybody were just pointing fingers at this man, and they were saying all sorts of things. And him, my supervisor there, because he was fresh, he hadn't even used up to 8 months there. He didn't know what to do, because they were telling him that this matter is beyond you. You are just coming, you're a young man. But I remember he said something that really, really inspired, because I was watching, it was almost becoming an argument. He said, I know that that's how it has been.
Hi, Timmy. Are you there? I think the network. Guess his network was bad.
Yeah,
Tell me if you can hear us. We can't hear you anymore.
After the whole country, different thing happened. The next week after the man came, he just quietly gave the wrong, and the man came to greet everyone as if nothing happened. Like, and what that made me know was that I feel like the culture stems from the leader. If the leader comes, you know, I like the fact that it was like I'm bringing my own initiative, my own culture into this space. It's not as we've been doing it before. So I was really, really inspired and motivated by that. And secondly, I also feel like it is somehow individualistic in a way because many leaders are many bosses the way they perceive, maybe some of them, the way they were once treated before they became bosses, they also feel like other people should go through that process. So that's why I think it's a really deep culture. You see so many leaders telling you that when I was at this age or at this age, I think that this was how I was. So you now you can't learn, you can't know all of this. They just confine you to their own and to what they feel you should like to what they feel they're comfortable with knowing at that point in time. So I really feel like that's also it's a culture. I don't want to say the mindset, but it's a culture. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's so beautiful learning from your experience. The truth is that, just like you said, culture stems from the leader. It's one thing to write all of these organizational, catchphrase. This is our vision, this is our mission, these are core values. But when the push comes to shove, the most important thing is what you do, because people are paying attention. I can say that in this organization, okay, Dennis said he didn't hear something. He didn't hear the part that's talked to you at the point where it's about to turn to conflict. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so we'll just move ahead because of time. Sorry, Dennis, apologies for that. But what Timmy was trying to say was that culture stems from the leader. We can write a lot of things down in our organizational description, but the most important thing is what we do, because people actually learn how to treat others from their leaders. Leaders that shout or their direct reports will give the direct reports an incentive to shout on their own staff. I mean, it just cascades down from the top to the bottom. And when a leader does not agree with a certain set of behaviors, it's easy for people to call it out, because our leaders do not do this and we will not take it. Yeah, but in a situation where the leader himself is loud, doesn't treat people well, if somebody else is not treating well in the organization, who are you gonna tell? Who are you gonna tell to help you? And I want to actually call something out as well, that many of these things are rooted in social norms, just like we actually pointed out in our discussion prompt. A lot of things that form safety culture in our organizations, in our workplaces, in our society, stems from culture, like culture of a people, And I mean, in a culture where there's nothing wrong with respect, but in a culture where respect is more important than truth or facts, I mean, we are creating a problem where somebody that is older cannot be wrong just because the person is older. That's one of the challenges we face at work in our organizations, where everybody knows that this person is wrong, but nobody can call his attention, because it will affect his pride. It will touch him in a way you don't like and you don't want. I mean, that's also one of those challenges. I don't know if anybody still wants to talk before we start running off for today. What's been your experience? What was your unique contribution to this conversation? What do you want to say? You are open to talk. We want to learn from you as well. We want to hear your experience. Anybody like that? And in a second, before we start running off. I mean, my note is full today. I've significantly, I came here to learn, and no doubt I've learned a lot from our unique experiences, both the good and the ugly. And I strongly believe that everybody will have a key takeaway from this event that we can implement in our own environment. I mean, the key point of all of this is to be better. I mean, it's one to talk about those that have treated us wrongly. Is want to talk about how bad the situation is. But they used to say that the change begins with you. Like, why cause the darkness when you can light the candle? So if I can light the candle, I don't need to keep causing the darkness. And if I can be the change that I want to see, why not? It starts with one person modeling it that they can say, can't you see leader this, leader Timmy, leader John, how it does, how it treats people? I mean, and people can gravitate towards you. People can see you as the example and come and learn from you. Oh, we see the way you lead your team. We see the way you treat people, and we see the results you are getting. Can you teach us? I want to also be like that. I mean, a lot of people are just terrible. So I won't say a lot, but some people are terrible because they don't know a better way to treat people. And being a good example just shows that there's a better way than the usual, than the normal, than the social norms. I'm so happy for this conversation. I'm happy for the products that these conversations will actually yield. I want to appreciate everyone once again. If you still want to talk, you can raise your hand before we close. Irina, do you want to say something?
Me?
Were you saying something?
Yeah, maybe a couple of things. I was thinking, thank you very much for sharing, because it was very interesting. And I was listening to you, and I was thinking about leaders and bosses. It's not easy to be a leader, right? It's not easy to lead the people. 2 points. If your boss shouts, it means that he or she is afraid. Because normal people who feel safely, they don't shout. This is first. And second, why it's more easy to be a leader, how we discussed today. Because in this case, your back is covered. You have your team behind you who can support you. Bosses never have this, never. And this is for the future and for the past and for the present. If you spend some time and your mental and emotional energy to try to understand the people, to try to listen to the people and exchange with people, you will have the team who will support you every time. And this is important.
Thank you very much for that. Listening to people helps them buy into your vision, and by that, they are with you, they support you. That's so powerful. And the fact that the person that shouts is afraid, I mean, now you can just be compassionate. That this person is just shouting because they're afraid. There's a deep-rooted fear behind the shouting, which makes them insecure. Yeah, I mean, it's deep insecurity behind that. I mean, it's helpful to understand, okay, why is this person actually shouting? What are they insecure about? Yeah, so that we can help them in any way we can. Yeah, thank you very, very much. It's been a very wonderful conversation. This event is recorded. We'll be sharing with you. We'll also be sharing the slides with you for as many that are registered, so that you can go through it once again, learn from it, ask questions, and any other information we'll share with you. And also our social media links for you to follow us. We are on LinkedIn, all of us are here on LinkedIn. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming tonight. I really appreciate your time. Irina, do you have any closing remarks before we end the call?
Thanks a lot for this opportunity to speak to you, to share and to listen to you. Again, I worked across many, many countries. We have absolutely the same challenges, But this means that we can solve these problems together, because there are some universal things to help us to solve. Thanks a lot. I really enjoyed.
Yeah, we've come to the end of our conversation tonight. It's been a special Leaders Coven webinar series, and just having this meaningful conversation, a short presentation, and a meaningful engagement. It's a good way to learn from one another and also to rub ideas, rub our minds together. I want to appreciate everyone that came around tonight. I know it's not easy. Saturday night is a night of just chilling and Netflix, but you made it. You made it a point of duty to be here to come and learn something important. We don't take it for granted. Yeah, and tomorrow again, we are meeting for our July Leaders Coven retreats. I mean, just a restful, chill conversation as well. And just conversation or truth. Thank you everyone once again for coming. I don't take your presence for granted. I'll just go ahead and mention a few names before we close. I can see John, I can see Abraham, I can see Mosi, Shegun, Esther, Daniel, Dennis. I can see Kabirat. Thank you for coming. I can see Mendos. I can see Olufunto. Thank you. I can see Shane. I can see Precious, Samuel, Temi, Blessing. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate. So we'll be in touch via email, and then we'll get the materials across, the video recording across, and any other thing across. Have a lovely evening and lovely night, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye. Have a nice evening.